Okay, remember, they're changing my voice. And for whatever reason, the European governing class, certain Jewish hate groups, the European governing class is a hate group in its own as well, and LGBT kind of corporate hate groups are trying to engage me in some kind of immature hazing kind of campaign or something. You know, I want to say to them, I'm not a pedophile. I'm not interested in your games. I don't want to be in your cultures. You people allow 1 in 4 little girls to be sexually molested in their lives. You think it's cute to act like hazing idiots and just care about money and sexual control while it's happening? You're not the hand of God. Only I am. You never will be. No one will ever believe you unless they're batshit insane. Okay? You need to understand that. Okay, now, for the hand of God, some scriptures that prove that I'm Christ and there's no other way it could be, and that God is a martial arts warrior. Not some kind of brute force idiot, not WWF wrestler, not a cage fighter, not a boxer, not Tyson Fury, not Usyk, not KSI or whatever his name is, not John Jones, not Rampage Jackson. God is a martial warrior, Royal African Falcon martial warrior. That is the description in the Bible, and it goes without saying that that is what is ideal. And it is retarded to go to their churches, synagogues, mosques, any of their religious institutions, because they're just mocking me. Okay? They're mocking me. Some of their members have admitted it. They have admitted that no one knows who wrote their holy books, for the most part. They have admitted that they're just mocking God and controlling sexual reproduction, sexual behavior, and money. Okay. It doesn't take a genius to see they've merged with the state and corporations in order to fund the buildings of all their mosques, churches, synagogues, what have you. There's no excuse for it. All right, so the hand of God smiting evil in the Royal African Falcon martial arts spirit. Isaiah 1. Woe to the sinful nation, a people whose guilt is great, a brood of evildoers, children given to corruption. They have forsaken the Lord. They have spurned the Holy One of Israel and turned their backs on him. Okay. So this is the beginning of Isaiah. This is, I believe that's verse 5 or so. And here we go, verse 6. Why should you be beaten anymore? Why do you persist in rebellion? Your whole head is injured, your whole heart afflicted. Okay. So what is the difference between rebelling against the corrupt corporate state and all these rapists to the churches, mosques, and synagogues and their allies, okay, and rebelling against God? So these people are called of the flesh. They're like, hey, we're going to use technology to sabotage you. I'm going to fume you, mess up your voice, change your voice, edit your voice with the videos, edit your images, how you look in every video and every picture. Okay, and they say, hey, why should you persist in rebellion? You people are not God. You're not the children of God. I am God's son. It's pretty straightforward. Your whole head is injured in a way that no flesh-based damage could possibly compare to. Your whole heart is afflicted. In every generation, you teach your children to slip into denial and to not use their heads. From the sole of your foot to the top of your head, there is no soundness, only wounds and welts and open sores, not cleansed or bandaged. So in Isaiah 1, it makes it clear that God is spiritually beating up the Jews for their evil and their corruption and their rebellion. He calls them a brood of evildoers, children given to corruption. He says, why do you persist in rebellion? Okay, so that's the first chapter of Isaiah. It makes it crystal clear what the punishments are about and why. Okay, God doesn't care who, if they claim to be chosen by him or not, so to speak, in terms of when it's time to punish me. If they claim to be chosen and try to cheat me, yes, God does care about that. But them saying, hey, we're chosen, you can't punish us, that did not help them. I can't stress this enough, because salvation is not through the Jews. It's not. Salvation is through me, and I've made this clear again and again, and no one cares, because people are from the greater allied network of the white Jew, LGBT community, token minorities, what have you, and other cultures that are broods of evildoers, children given to corruption. and people who persist in rebellion. It's not just the Jews. So we go down to the Isaiah 5, okay? The Song of the Vineyard. At the end of it, it says, verse 6, I will make it a wasteland, neither pruned nor cultivated, and briars and thorns will grow there. I will command the clouds not to rain on it. Okay? Now why? Listen carefully. Verse 7. The vineyard of the Lord Almighty is the nation of Israel, and the people of Judah are the vines he delighted in. And he looked for justice, but saw bloodshed, for righteousness, but heard cries of distress. Okay, so he looked for justice, but saw bloodshed, for righteousness, but heard cries of distress. Again, these are the ideas. Tribe, right? Tribe B. Who is really the honest children of righteousness, not children of neo-colonialists cheating me out of my right to lead, so on and so forth, but the children of righteousness and the bell that rings the loudest. Israel in the story represents a grouping of people like the Igbos, and the Judah is a certain gene expression, right? They're offspring of Judah, right? And it's the bell that rings the loudest, the warrior tribe, the Lion of Judah, the main warrior tribe, right? David from the line of Judah, what have you. So again, it was a certain gene expression that they're talking about with Judah, right? It's really Ra, meaning God, and the Son Spirit, okay? Not meaning evil, which is what it means in Hebrew, okay? And day. It's a long story why the Bible is Bible, the Torah is Ha-Rat, scrambled, the Talmud, Talmud, Tal-Dum, okay? They do poisoning, pharmakeia, which the Bible forbids, okay? And they try to pretend that they're chosen. And these people almost certainly are related to the European governing class. They certainly look very similar to them, and they must have bred with taller people in the pagan trade routes, Persians, Africans, what have you, and it's in their Greco-Roman mythology, and they try to pretend that they are God. That's why in their language, or that they are the children of God, rather, that's why they're in their language, the word tribe is tribe-B, okay? They're trying to be what the actual idea is. Israel, C, real, C, Ra, L, C, Ra, right? And L is a Canaanite kind of LGBT deity. It's kind of a gay nerd that resembles that kind of pan, mischievous face, kind of Jew face that is so common these days. Okay. So, okay. So, what happens next is we go down to verse 16. It says, but the Lord Almighty will be exalted by his justice, and the holy God will be proved holy by his righteous acts. So this is how God is known. He's proved holy, right? He's exalted by justice and proved holy by his righteous acts. So say, how do you know it's from God and not the devil? Okay, because there's righteousness and justice in the actions, and that includes the purpose. If somebody does some kind of magic trick to try to prove that they should be able to molest your kids or something, okay, you know it's not from God. If the neo-colonialists, the white Jew or LGBT community try to do things to try to make it seem like they're superior, or token minorities like them, you know it's not from God. It's not justice to make those people seem superior. God would never give spiritual power at the highest level to the children of neo-colonialists, to the white Jew or LGBT community. Okay, I can't stress this enough. Galatians 3:28 makes it clear. Galatians 4 makes it clear. Okay, the Revelation, right? The Jews, but they're not. They're really from the synagogue of Satan. Also, the kingdom of heaven will be taken away from you. They made it clear in their book. They said if anyone does their due diligence, they'll make the right arguments. We'll see who cares about righteousness and justice more than other people, and we'll screen them out. That was their plan. It is sick. I'm not with the plan. No matter how you slice it, come up with a viable counter argument for this. If you care about righteousness and justice, should you try to conceal that and just go along with evil so you don't get found out? No. There's no hope in the future. They control reproduction, and they screened out the righteous. Okay, it is not righteous to play stupid and be evil. There's no way around being screened out. That's why the Bible says, pick up your cross and follow me. Pretty straightforward. Okay. So going down to verse 26, it says, therefore the Lord's anger burns against his people. His hand is raised, and he strikes them down. Therefore the Lord's anger burns against his people. His hand is raised, and he strikes them down. The mountains shake, and the dead bodies are like refuse in the streets. Yet for all this his anger is not turned away. His hand is still upraised. He lifts up a banner for the distant nations. He whistles for those at the ends of the earth. Here they come, swiftly and speedily. Not one of them grows tired or stumbles. Not one slumbers or sleeps. Not a belt. Okay, it's going to go on in a different verse. It's Isaiah 11 or something. It's going to say righteousness is his belt and faithfulness is his sash. Right? It says not one slumbers or sleep. Not a belt is loosened at the waist. Right? So all of them are righteous. Not a sandal strap is broken. Okay, so they're talking in the spiritual realm when they're talking about how they're righteous when they're attacking. Not just being given over to some pagan nation, but people who are actually righteous. Not a sandal strap is broken. Their arrows are sharp. All their bows are strong. Their horses' hooves seem like flint. Their chariot wheels like a whirlwind. Okay, their chariot wheels like a whirlwind. So the chariots aren't literal. And the whirlwind isn't what it is either. It is the spirit. We see in Proverbs 34, whose hands have gathered up the wind, whose fists hold the wind. Okay, in a New Living Translation, I believe it is. Okay, and we see in Revelation 5:5, Jesus is referred to as the Lion of Judah, who's worthy to open the seal, which is going to release the marshaling forces of God, where he bashes the world and transforms it into a more obvious version of hell with technology and complete hypocrisy and shallow people claiming to be chosen and so on and so forth. Okay, and the righteous are gone when the smoke clears. Okay, and there's a new heaven and new earth for the righteous, and the wicked who still remain on the land are outside the gates. That's why it says toward the end of Revelation, outside the gates are the cowardly, and so on and so forth. We say, well, why aren't they in the lake of fire already? Because they're on earth headed for the lake of fire for being cowardly, pharmakeia, pharmaceuticals, drugs, witchcraft, sorcery, psychology, what have you. Okay, so therapist, even the word therapist is play on words for the rapist, right? It's to reinforce the construct for rape by deception. Serapis, one of the fake images of Jesus, his name is rapes is scrambled. It's an anagram. 29. Their roar is like that of the lion. They roar like young lions. They growl as they seize their prey and carry it off with no one to rescue. In that day they will roar over it like the roaring of the sea. And if one looks at the land, there is only darkness and distress. Even the sun will be darkened by the clouds. Okay, so there's different ways to interpret it. They're not supposed to persecute me no matter what. But it says because of how much evil is going on, people aren't able to truly appreciate me, the Son of God. Okay, so it's darkened by the clouds of smoke, by the clouds of that are a gathering of righteousness, which is a driving rain, right? When it rains down righteousness on the wicked, okay, it's a driving rain that drives them insane, drives them to hell, what have you, right? Martial is marital scramble, to engage, right? Marriage engage, warfare engage. The bridegroom, martial is marital scramble. Okay. So Isaiah 8:11. Okay, remember that was a clear-cut example, right, of how his hand is connected, is part of striking him down, right? He's bringing about the spirits. He's summoning the spirits, like a martial artist making a fist, and he's striking from the heart, the mind, his heart. The Lord weighs his heart, and here comes the Spirit of God striking them down, okay? No other way it could be. Do Jews do things like that? No. Do the white people? No. Do token minorities? No. Do thugs? No. Do LGBT people? No. Only I do. Do other martial artists? No. They are not in the divine order, and they move chi energy, and so on and so forth. And there's clown UFC fighters, MMA fighters, clowns in the military and police, right? These are world people concerned with the law of the land and the spirit of the land, and not the spirit of God. Okay. Isaiah 8:11. This is what the Lord says to me with his strong hand upon me, warning me not to follow the way of this people. So God, in a strong warrior spirit, said, don't follow the Jews' ways. Okay? They want you to follow ball. They'll use every parlor trick there is.